Yo, yo, what's up, Peachy fans? My good friends, Bob and E.T. Oh, E.T. But has anyone here ever been heartbroken before? Well, I have a song for a broken heart that I call A Heart Twice Broken.
Take your time, Jermaine.
You're all that I want. You're all that I need. You got my heart twice broken. You got my heart twice broken. Knew it from the start. You're all that I see. You got my heart twice broken. You got my heart twice broken.
Once this girl that I knew from the school, I tried to get to know her because she's sick really cool. Just like me, the school wasn't her first. She told her about her last and it sounded much worse. So I tried to get closer to her before the summer. But I told her she had a voice, oh what a bummer. So I said to myself, we'll just be friends for now, but eventually I'll get her, and that was my vow. But then one day, there was this other girl. She wasn't my type, but I just couldn't whirl. Then we became the best of friends, but then one day that came to an end. I felt like it was time, so I made my move. But she had feelings for my friend, oh just how it grew. So my friend knew how she felt. His feelings for her was hard, my dad's felt. Everybody told me I should try again. And trust me, when I tried, it was not a win. Lessons were learned, mistakes were made. I moved from disaster, this is some aid.
You're all that I want. You're all that I need. You got my heart twice broken. You got my heart twice broken. Knew it from the start. You're all that I see. You got my heart twice broken. You got my heart twice broken.
To the second girl I mentioned, I first wanted the song. She crossed back into my life to only do wrong. It was Valentine's Day, so my friend pushed me on. She told me to ask her before she was gone. So I did just that, and she told me, sure. I believe what she said, but it wasn't secure. For the rest of the day, it seemed to be real, but slowly but surely, it began to peel. Next day at school, I checked how she was doing. She didn't pull me over for some interview. She came out that she never loved me. Ever since then, I feel like a zombie. People might think that I made this all up, but the story's legit and not a setup. My feelings were played like an arcade token, blinded by love.
You're all that I want. You're all that I need. You got my heart twice broken. You got my heart twice broken. Knew it from the start. You're all that I see. You got my heart twice broken. You got my heart twice broken. You're all that I want, yeah. You're all that I see. You got my heart twice broken, yeah. You got my heart twice broken. Knew it from the start. You're all that I see. You got my heart twice broken. Got my heart twice broken.